So it's an interesting thing of like, again, a property that I have never seen, never put my hands on, never driven down the street, to be able to throw an address and get that close to it that I'm actually somewhere playing in a ballpark, or at least know what I'm getting into. Welcome back to Life at 10 Tenths, where we inspire you to live at the pinnacle of your ability and purpose. I've got Matt Benelli with me today, and we're going to jump right into this episode because we have been goofing around with AI. Matt and I decided to make offers on each other's properties from across the United States using AI. He's a buyer for my property. I'm a buyer for his property. I'm selling mine. He's selling his. And we used AI to see if we could help us get to where we wanted to go. And it's been quite interesting. And as we're doing this, we're like, we should just hit record.
Yeah.
And share this because it's wild. And it leaves a lot of holes in a lot of ways. And then there's other ways of going like, I feel oddly educated, Matt, all I was doing was driving down the street and saw your address and go, I like that house and I don't live here. What if I was to make an offer on it? And you're like, that's pretty damn close. I mean, give or take.
Yeah. So
good morning.
Good morning. And I'm excited to talk about this because like I'm fired up today because at the time of recording this, we just did our live podcast and we did it on this headline about Florida man using ChatGPT to sell his home. I added the whole Florida part in front of Florida man because it makes it just more humorous to me.
It's just great.
And like the comments all over social are just like, it's crazy, right? And it's fun watching real estate agents squirm when you bring up AI or FSBOs and all of these things.
Matt, we shouldn't even talk about it. Let's just be quiet. Like, let's just shh.
Don't give people the ideas. They already have the ideas. And what I think is fascinating is, you know, and this is just the way our brains work because I have this flaw, Garrett has this flaw, you listening have this flaw where we have our own biases towards our own self and knowledge. Like, no, I'm good at what I do. ChatGPT can't analyze a house better than me. And you know what? I would agree with you now. In 2 years from now, I don't know if I'll be agreeing with you. And depending on neighborhoods, because this is going to get into the nuance of Garrett's house versus my house.
Yeah.
You know, as more data gets put into the system, which the more and more homes turn over, data is going to get put into that system, whatever system that is. And the more we drive public only marketing, all that data is going to go into the system. Not saying that's right or wrong.
Yep.
Language learning models are going to have access to that data, and it's going to get better and better and better at analyzing price ranges because it also has the ability to search and understand human emotion from the way we put stuff out on the internet as well, which gets us into making offers sight unseen on each other's homes, Garrett, on homes that are not listed as well. So we already know that AVMs are not going to be as accurate as they would be if our homes were on the market and had more data behind them.
Well, and my home has not been on the market for 14 years. So let's just put that like there,
right.
There's the system out there has little data on my home over the last 14 years, if any data. I think it's interesting, Matt. We read the book Thinking Fast and Slow here just recently. And one of the things they talk about in that book is that you have to go back to formulas. Formulas will not let you down. Personal opinion and personal, like how I feel about what I think is going to happen, they talk about in the book will let you down more often than you think. Your voice inside your head that says, you know, based off everything I've seen, I feel this will actually steer you wrong many, 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 many times over and over. Where I was thinking about it, and it's going to be interesting to see the way that AI continues to develop, because as you said, there's lots of holes in our thing right now that we're looking at here.
Sure.
But it is going to get better. And a lot of it is based off of formulas and calculations, and just the more data it has, the more input points it has, the more it can run those internal formulas that it has. I mean, and yeah, you're right. This is going to get more and more accurate, but let's talk about our properties.
Well, and Garrett, I think what's interesting about that is analyzing or coming up with a price range is really formulaic, right? Mm-hmm. And now from what's going to determine fair market value becomes emotional, because now we have buyers and sellers in the equation. But even if you're an agent analyzing a property, you're going to recommend a price to a seller. You're using formulas, and even if it's an opinion-based formula, so the more data a algorithm has or an AI model has, it's going to do similar processes, and it's not very difficult to do it, which is why we shouldn't be surprised when these things get more accurate over time, just as the AVMs have. They're still pretty darn far off, as we talked about in a recent podcast, Garrett, the Zillow's estimates. But they are getting better. I mean, I remember when AVMs first hit kind of the world, and we were like, man, these are terrible. Like, they couldn't even do AVMs in certain parts of the country. Now almost everything has a Zestimate, and it's getting better. So yes, let's get into writing offers on each other's homes.
So again, the way that we approach this, everybody, is that when Matt and I put this information together, I searched my house, he searched. Do you want to start with my house or yours?
Let's start with my house, because it's a little easier, because my house is a new construction in 2022, and the whole community is a new construction community, so it's more conforming, which would arguably lead to a better automated value model metric and a better kind of just experience with ChatGPT, and then we can go to the nuance of having an older home. So let's start with my house. So how do you want to begin with this, Garrett? Are we starting with how?
So the way that we kind of approach this is I kind of did my search on my side, and I said, I'm in South Carolina right now, driving down this street. Here's the address. And here's what, I want to write an offer on a home, but I don't live in this area. I don't know this area. But I like this house. If I was to write an offer on it, where would I write an offer to be at market value? I don't want to overpay. And it gave me all kinds of ranges. And then the way that Matt and I brought this together was before I made my offer, he said, here's what I'm willing to sell it for. And he gave me his number. So just so you have a little bit of background on kind of how we got here, this is how we approach it. So Matt, I think you should put your price on the table first, of kind of like, this is what I'm willing to sell it for based off what Chat shared with me. And then I will tell you what Chat showed me I should do.
Yeah, so I simply put in a question, and this was actually a month ago, and I did just update it for hey, is this pricing still proper for today? And I just said, hey, do some research on my property and let me know what you think of the value and tell me what it would be. And it came up with, and it still even says, and dialing in, I said, update this for today, the same price. It says, here's all the comps and everything, which surprisingly then comes to, you should list at 825 is the number that it came up with. This is the suggested approximate price that should create maximum traffic and potential bidding, which is higher than any other comps. It went on a price per square foot, and it pulled in one element, which is my property sits up against our lake that's in the middle, and it's giving a premium for that, obviously, but it's higher than any other property, which I'm like, that seems high. And so I will say it does appear that it is leaning on the high side for me as a seller, which is going to be very interesting, Garrett, as we get into what it told you for the offer. So it said 825 would be the approximate list price that we should use today.
And I think the thing to pay attention to here, Matt, is you just said, it's leaning probably to a little on the high side, which is funny, which is how a lot of sellers kind of view their properties and whatnot. Yep. So it might just be reinforcing something here. So again, I gave it its input here of, love this area, always wanted to own a home here, driving down the street. Yes, Matt.
Oh, and I should note that the Zestimate range, just so we have that as in here, is 721 to 821, and ChatGPT is having me list $4,000 higher than the top side of the Zestimate range. So just wanted to throw that out there too.
So it does come, it's funny, it gives me pre-market negotiation strategies if I wanted to approach you and what I should say when I go to the door to see if I can actually get you. We love this neighborhood. We wanted to reach out to you before you might list it. If you're considering selling privately, we'd love to make this simple for both of us. I'm on it, Matt. You just wait. All right. So it gives me a actual list price likely? If you were to list, it tells me you're probably going to list somewhere between 775 and 815.
Which is not far off from what it told me. A little lower, but not far off.
So 775 to 815, and gives me 3 options for making an offer. One would be a full market offer. If I'm up against multiple offers, I should be prepared to be in the 760 to 785 range. So that would be multiple offers setting me up to actually still be well under your asking price.
Yes, still would be.
Which is interesting.
Because based on recent sales, probably actually makes a little bit more sense from a market strategy standpoint.
Now, if I'm like, you know what, I don't want to play the multiple offer game. I just want to make a solid offer. Potentially, you're listed at 825. It's telling me to come in between 740 and 755. That would be just a nice, strong, fair offer. Now, again, any of you listen to this right now, if you were the listing agent and you just put it on at 825 and I come rolling in the door at 750, let's say,
why are you lowballing me?
You might have some words for me. And then you know what? If I wanted to come to you, Matt, sit on your front porch with you, have a glass of sweet tea and say, look, let's make this easy on both of us. If you're thinking about selling, I want to make this easy on you and I'm going to make an offer somewhere between 720 and 735. Let's just say 730 to make it easy. You know, we'll just go right in the middle. That's what AI has told me. And I think that's fair. How do you feel about that?
Did it suggest the sweet tea?
No, that's me.
Okay. Nice touch. Nice touch. I like it. Right. Now we're talking 100. Now that's a pre-list offer strategy. Like you knocked on my door like, hey, I don't even know if you're thinking of selling, but I want to buy your house. Here's my offer that I'm willing to do. You don't got to do a thing. Just grab your toothbrush and go. Right.
That's when you come armed with sweet tea, by the way, if you're in the South.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You show up with an IPA when you're in the in Northern California.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I will say, you know, and I said this when you pulled this up before we started recording, which I was like, you know what? Okay, let's say that, I mean, clearly there's a mismatch in numbers. From the buyer side, ChatGPT went lower on using the same, because it pulled the same comps too. Like it pulled all the same data. Right. We looked at the data that it was highlighting. Maybe there's 1 or 2 different ones, but it was all pretty much the same stuff, but it went lower on the buy side and higher on the sell side. Now, is that because the language learning model understands that, hey, sellers might want to err higher and buyers might want to err lower? Well, hard to say just on one property, Garrett. So
and it did ask me questions because yours made a comment to you on yours talking about a water view.
Right.
Mine did not. Mine said things you should ask, things you should pay attention to is every lot in there is different. Some of them are on the lake. Some of them have lake access. Does not talk about the neighbor with the cannon that blows off things every 4th of July. Leaves that kind of stuff out.
Which is awesome.
I don't know if that's an upsell or...
Total upsell, unless you're the backyard that gets the cannon firing.
Yeah, there you go.
Total upsell for our lot.
So we got about this, and I think this is interesting because again, let's say you put it on for 825. I'm going to be, even on a full market strong offer side that I've now been educated about, I'm not coming anywhere near 8, by the way. If anything, 785. If I was just using AI to help guide me with this, that would be like the tippy top of where I'd want to touch that property at.
But what I find interesting is let's just say that this advice is not perfect, which it is not, right?
No.
Would it be reasonable to suggest, Garrett, that some agents might suggest some of these same pricing strategies for either the seller or buyer? And I would say probably yes, right? Or even if a listing agent wouldn't suggest the 825, but me as a seller says, I want to try it. I want to go out at 825. I guarantee there would be an agent that would totally say, all right, let's go try it, right? And would it be enough to maybe get, if you have a buyer and seller who are willing to use ChatGPT to kind of create the negotiation strategy to all of a sudden get into a conversation where now emotion gets involved and you're like, I know chat says don't go over 785, but I really want to experience that Canon. Maybe I'm willing to go to 795 or 800. And then me as a seller go, ChatGPT said 825 is a list price, but I really kind of want to move to California and buy this other house. So maybe I'm willing to go down. Once emotion gets involved, now we get to what would be fair market value, which we should maybe call fair market value in real estate, emotional fair market value, because seriously, that's really what it is when it comes down to it. But I would say, while this advice may not be perfect, this is really not a terrible starting point for spending 2 seconds on ChatGPT.
I 100% agree. We're again I haven't been in your new house. I've been in your old house.
Yeah, you haven't been in this one.
So it's an interesting thing of again, a property that I have never seen, never put my hands on, never driven down the street, to be able to throw an address and get that close to it that I'm actually somewhere playing in a ballpark, or at least know what I'm getting into. See, if I was thinking about maybe moving to South Carolina to St. John's Island, and I was like, what are we looking at here? And I was sitting out in front of a house and wanted to put it in and be like, is this neighborhood even something I should be paying attention to? Because every time we drive through here, my wife just goes, someday I want to live here. Are we even talking something that the Fries can handle right now? It can get you fairly close.
This gets into a whole, and we're going to talk about this on a future podcast about the future of search and how AI and platforms are going to just come together. It's going to change everything in terms of how buyers are searching. It's not going to change, I don't think, negotiation processes. But Garrett, this is for a house that's built new construction recently, lots of data, lots of comparable homes, like kind models and things. But now let's go to, I'm moving to California. I'm coming to buy, the Fries house.
We're going to take you back to 1996 where brass trim was a thing.
Here we go. The frosted a smart home back in the 90s is what you have there, and
not the frosted brass trim. I'm talking about the shiny brass that I have boxes of it in the garage. I can re-bring this home back to 1996 for you, Matt, if you would like, when you go to buy it.
Well, that might change my offer, but let's see what chat suggested you list your home at first before I disclose what I'm going to be offering you for your home.
So it's interesting. So it gave me, obviously a fairly big range here.
Yes.
And let me see here. Where was my number at? All right. So it talks about if I want to aggressively put this on the market, if I want to just balanced hit the market, or a premium test. If I want to check and see as a premium home hitting the market, can we hit that upper tier? And it's interesting. This is what I find fascinating. The home 4 houses down from me that has the exact same view, pretty much a very similar house, actually a fair amount higher than the premium test is what they went on for and went under contract in 2 days, give or take.
Interesting.
But the premium test is $799. If I wanted to go with that, but let's just talk about the balanced one right now. $759 to $775. Let's just say I put the home on the market at $775 because you know what? I'm not at the premium. I'm just at the top of the balanced, and let's see what this thing will do. So $775, Matt.
All right. So here I roll in, and I asked Chad. I said, I'm interested in buying this property. What would be a reasonable offer to write? I want to write something reasonable. And now we did compare the data points. It actually pulled all the same data, same square footage, beds, baths, lot size, Zestimate range, even comps on your street. It pulled all the same ones.
There's only one difference we found was median price per square foot was different from what you had to what I had, but everything else was spot on.
Well, it looks like my estimate used square footage based on the precise Zestimate number there to then calculate kind of an offer range, right? And so now what chat told me, and it said, well, if the home were listed, it would probably be listed around 650. So already over $100,000 lower than what you were told, right? Now, that's so funny. It told the seller a higher number and the buyer a lower number, just like it did on my house. So I have a few things here. It says, if you want to be really aggressive, I could offer 585 to 600. If you want to be reasonable, 610 to 625. But if you want a strong offer, you can go up to that 635 to 645. But here's my realistic first offer is 610 to 620. And here's why. It's below the Zestimate midpoint. It's within the street averages, and it leaves room for upward negotiation and aligns with the typical 3 to 5% negotiation window. Very, very interesting.
$150,000 off of where my world has been established.
Yeah, very different situation. Now, what's kind of interesting though, Garrett, like we're a larger margin off, but from absolute dollars, we're about, because you were what, $75,000 off of my list price essentially from the offer you made on my house.
Yeah,
and I'm off 125,000 from yours.
From what this has said. So again, home around
what's
the
your
corner.
List? You're listed at 750 from chat.
775.
Okay, so I'm off 150K.
Yes.
So double the. That's a lot of money.
and again, the home around the corner for me is under contract, set to close. Quick sale for, I think it's 825 is what it's on for right now.
Right, which this did not note any of that. It did not pull
Does
that
not note that. And we also talked the house down the street that just sold.
Right.
Now that one did sell for 659, I believe is what it was. But it's a very, very different setup. And so it's like you start looking at this and going, yours shared something with you, which I think is really important.
Right. So at the end, it said, here's the interesting part. The AVM spread is very wide, meaning that AVM metric on your house goes from 598 on Zillow to 744 from realtor.com. Two things, knowing probably the same information about your home, very different numbers. And it said this usually means condition upgrades and view/lot matter a lot. And I've been to your house, so I know the view that's out your backside of the house.
My house
I
is
know
unassuming.
the pool that you put in, and
It's unassuming,
gorgeous,
because it's one of those things that like every home here in our neighborhood all have sharing, they're all sharing fences. They're all little lots. They're all kind of packed in. And then there's this weird 3 or 4 houses that happen to hang out on a ridge on the backside that have this view. And this is where, as you said, over time, Matt, AI will probably pick up on these nuances. It will, and learn these things and these little advantages that some of these homes have over other ones. Currently, right now, though, like, it has no clue.
It has no clue. And so I think that's interesting. Now I just typed in here. Turns out this property has quite the view, which I know it does. How might this adjust my offer? And it says, well, let's take a look at the typical views and premiums of different types of views. Partial view, 3 to 7% premium. Open valley or city view, 8 to 15%. Panoramic unobstructed mountain view, 15 to 25%, which it put in bold, right? Because potentially that is yours. And then iconic or water view is 20 to 35. So it says if this home has a true panoramic view, you absolutely will pay up for it. And so a strong panoramic view would bring the offer up to 744.
I can see a creek. It's way down in the valley. I have to knock a tree down that would technically have a water view. If any of my neighbors hear a chainsaw in the middle of the night, I'm just improving.
Now, it does say my opening number should still be at 675 because now it's asking me more questions like, hey, let's talk about this. What is the kitchen and all these different things? And all these, I mean, this is just fascinating, right? And so from when we had our live podcast, which at the time of recording this was yesterday, and seeing comments on social media and realtors are like, oh gosh, ChatGPT is terrible. It makes mistakes all the time. Like, no kidding, it does. Humans make mistakes too. But what I find fascinating about this, Garrett, is in 2 years, this is going to be so much better. This is going to be so much better, and you're going to have advice. And if we're going to lean into that, our only value as real estate agents is pricing strategy advice and things like this, this is going to take over for that role.
And I made the comment to you that if this flattens the pricing value add that realtors bring to the table, which is, again, a lot of people look at their realtor as like, you tell me, you're the expert here. Give me the price. That's why we brought you in. That's why we have you listing our house, because we don't know the price to put it on for. If that takes that value piece out of the equation, I actually think it's going to be a good thing. Personally, I actually think it will then have the real estate industry say, well, what is our real value? Because I don't think pricing a home is the value that a realtor brings to the table. There's so many other things that need to be understood that you got to go in and put your hands on the fit and the finish and the updates that people did to the house and what that house was when they bought it 5 years later, when they've put in brand new countertops, they had the floors redone, they had, what level did they do it at? Did they do a crappy job? I mean, I have seen, you all know when you walk into a Home Depot remodeled house compared to a custom builder and you go,
hey, I have a Home Depot vanity in my powder.
It's all right. We're not judging. I'm just saying is that you know the difference. And it's not something when somebody says has an updated kitchen, you don't know that until you walk in and you go, and they went big, and they cheaped out. Yeah, it's been remodeled, but it's the cheap version of the remodel. There's elements here that AI may not be able to help with, but I do think it's fascinating, Matt. And the reason that we wanted to share all this with you today was like, this is the tools that buyers are going to be using, sellers are going to be using. They're going to have this information in their hands. And it would be interesting, Matt, to sit down like with a friend of mine locally and do this and see if it even adjusts differently for you coming from the East Coast, me coming from the West Coast. What kind of weird data is it looking at and bringing in? And also our searches and what it thinks about us. Like there's so many elements, because just like I can do a search to build something, I wanted to redo a gate on my side yard. And I'm like, can you do a design for me? And the design it gave me had a Life at 1010s T on the front of it. Huge green T on a black metal background. And I'm like, my neighbors would kill me.
No, that would be amazing. You should totally do that.
It would be strong. It would be a power move for the neighborhood. I don't think it would go over the way that we think it would.
And I think, Garrett, I'll add this too. Whether or not the information is correct, I don't think is the question that we should be asking. I think the question we should be asking is how trusting will people become of these platforms over the next several years? I said 2 years, give it 5 years. That's not that far away. People will be more trusting of these things, whether or not the information is correct, which it will. The information will get better. The data will get better as there's more data inputs, and that will be facilitated by us too. Realtors are going to play a role in making these things better, because every time we list a house, we're getting more information put out there on these things, which is going to feed this, which is not a bad thing. Think back to, Y2K and all of these things, Garrett, like, oh, I would never trust Google for anything. Now everybody, like WebMD came out. Like, I wouldn't trust the internet to help me understand what this rash is on my arm. Oh, all of a sudden now WebMD and Google came out. It's like, oh, I think I can just go get this cream. And everybody is playing doctor on the internet. Oh, I'm not going to trust, Amazon to deliver my stuff, my food, my groceries. I'm going to go to the grocery and pick out my food myself. Oh, until it can just come in a couple hours and I don't have to go do those things. We change culturally and begin to adapt and bring these things into our world. And this is just another thing that is going to become that over the next several years. So whether or not the information is right or wrong isn't the question, because you can say it's wrong all day long. If people adapt and trust these technologies, that's where understand how to use them, because the emotion side of it, I don't think is going to go away. Now, I can't predict that necessarily, Garrett, but I don't think that the hospitality aspect and emotion of having a realtor by your side and hold your hand as you're making tough decisions, maybe while using an AI language learning model to understand all of the analytics with it, having that trusted advisor is still going to be very valuable. And this, I think, is what the industry needs, Garrett, to level up this finally over decades of us asking this industry to really get inside and understand and articulate this value to the consumers.
I 100% agree. And again, it's going to be fascinating as it gathers more data, learns more information. And it's going to get more accurate. These estimates are far more accurate than they used to be. And as the tools continue to develop, things are going to continue to get more accurate. And again, I think I'm going to add this last piece in, Matt. And I know we need to wrap this up because we have something we got to get to. Yes. But I think what's interesting is like, it's the same thing as like, I'm trying to sell a boat right now. And I have people that are coming to me online because I have this thing posted online and they're saying, you know, we like it. Let me ask you some more questions about it. Will you take this? And my answer is always, I will not negotiate with you until you are standing in front of the boat with your hands on it going, I really like this. Because until then, we're just going off of the numbers and the stuff, but I want the emotional side of somebody standing there in front of it and going, you know what? This is actually this is cleaner than the other ones I've seen. This is nicer than the other ones I've seen. All of a sudden it's got things that you can't necessarily describe online and have somebody, you know, understand. And this is a lot of times homes the same way. And we can negotiate we can come up with all these strategies and all this stuff online, but until you walk in the front door and you see the view that you can't see from the front street, it doesn't mean anything. It's just numbers and stuff. And it's like the emotional side is how people purchase homes more than anything. And that is where a lot of the real value comes in. It's how do you position that? So
no doubt.
There you go.
Well, Garrett, I want to hear what everybody thinks about all of this stuff. I want to hear everybody's opinion because I'm enjoying the banter on social media tremendously. But so we want to hear what you guys think about this. There's two ways you can do it. Head over to our YouTube channel, search Life at 10 Tenths on YouTube. Find this episode. You can watch us on video if you're listening on audio, by the way, and comment below that video your thoughts on AI and real estate, or you can download our app. Search Life at 10 Tenths in your app store. You can download the app, create a little account for free, and you will find podcast episodes, and you can comment right on this episode inside the app, and that gives you direct access to Garrett and myself. When you post or comment in the app, you are sending a ping right to me and Garrett, and we get to see that and we can comment and engage with you guys, which makes us super duper happy. So we love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.